Hey everybody, what's going on? We're here with a special YouTube podcast episode, which I guess we could share it on SoundCloud and Spotify with the other series, whatever. I guess we could do that. But today we're joined by Mochi, and I don't mean the snack Monchi. I actually mean the sporting director of Sevilla, Monchi's men, or their advocates, not the actual Monchi. Just clickbaited you guys. That's bait. But anyways, we're joined by Chris, Dave. How are you guys?
I'm good, Chris. We want to know about you. They know me, but I mean, for you guys, we'll get into me. But you're the star of the show right now. So, Chris, how you doing? And tell us a bit about yourself.
Good, guys. I'm doing really good, actually, because most people don't watch the women's game in La Liga, but Sevilla played Barcelona's women today, and they actually drew 1-1. Nice. And that was the first time that Barcelona hadn't won in 62 games.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because Barcelona's women team is pretty good. I do actually follow the Juve women's. Barca's no team to sneeze at. Man or woman, don't matter. Yeah, of course. So congratulations on that.
Yeah, we're hoping that's kind of a prelude to what might happen tomorrow, but you never know.
No, we never know. It is the semifinals.
That's it. But yeah, I'm Chris. I kind of am the admin at Monchi's Men. We're an English-speaking Sevilla FC fan club. Been around since 2010, so a long time now, and it's grown. It's kind of weird because most people that are fans of Sevilla speak Spanish, so they just go to that kind of content. So our group's not really huge, but we've got people from all over. We've got Kosovo and the UK and France and Spain and Mexico, Puerto Rico, United States, Canada. Boo Canada, right? But
we were making fun of Canada before we started.
But I mean, we're just all over. It's a good group of guys. We talk about the Sevilla games. We started a podcast about 2 years ago just to kind of expand about that. Just talking about the games and whatnot. So very informal, but we've grown and done some good things, and got some good group of guys over there, and looking forward to the match tomorrow.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. I found your message board, which, first of all, the fact that you guys still run a message board, I think is amazing. I love those things. I've been part of so many message boards in my day, and the younger viewers probably don't know what the hell we're talking about because it isn't really too much of a thing, but I love that you have it, and I went on, and that's how I ended up connecting to you. But everyone there was so friendly and so helpful, and they're just awesome. So shout out to the Monchi's Man community. You're all great.
Yeah, man. Thanks for that. And we were talking, Monchi's Men is named after our sporting director, Monchi. He kind of saved his club, man. I mean, we were going down. Well, we went down in 2000, and Monchi was our second choice goalkeeper at the time, and our president came and was like, "Hey, man, what do you think about being sporting director?" And so he came in and really just changed the club and brought us back up. And then 2005 is really when we started taking off and winning and 6 Europa League trophies. It's pretty good for a club our size. We're not very big, and there's a lot of history there. So I think Sevilla owes a ton of credit to Monchi, and I think we just wanted to honor him and created our little supporters group there and named him Monchi's Men. So.
And there it is. That's him, the man himself, signing his namesake, his likeness, if you will. Yeah, hanging right behind you. So that's so cool. You said that was Dallas?
Yeah. So they came in 2016, I think it was. No. Let's see, 2019 to Dallas and Boston. They played Liverpool up in Boston, and then FC Dallas down in Dallas. But they were there for a week training, and I got to meet Monchi for the first time there, and I brought the banner, and he had actually seen this because Monchi left and went to Roma, as most of you guys probably know, for one season, and then came back. But anyway, we brought that banner to his last game in Sevilla, and he saw it then, but he didn't sign it. And I was like, man, I got to get him to sign it. So the team grabbed this picture when we were down there, and just a really nice guy. He's actually been on our podcast once. We did an interview with him in Spanish. And
that's super cool that he would do that.
That's dope, man. That's really awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. So good interview. He's a brilliant guy. Hopefully he continues. Hey, there's Shendum.
Hello, everyone.
And there's a fourth. It's 2-1-2. Yeah. We've evened the odds now. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks. How you doing?
Very good. Thank you. I joined a bit late. So did you finish or?
We're right in the middle of it, buddy. You're good to go. I'll give you a little intro. So Shindum's, I spoke of Kosovo there in the opener. He's our Kosovo. How do you say that? Kosovoian? I don't know how you say that, but is that right?
Kosovo. Yeah. You got it right.
Hey, look at there. So speaking of like our global kind of fan base, Shindum's up there. So thanks for joining, Shindum.
Thank you guys.
We were just talking about Monchi and kind of what he did to the club and kind of saved it, and that's where we're at. So,
Perfect. Very nice to meet you, Dash and Dave. You're based in U.S.?
I am
Canada.
Dave's Canadian. I'm in the United States.
Nice. Very nice to meet you. Chris, I've known Chris since 2010 or 11, something like that. From the Monchi's Man Forum, and we really have a great time there. We are a small community, maybe not as big as like Juventus with a Z. I have a friend from that forum. He's joined there since I think 2009, and I'll be watching the match with him tomorrow. So it'll be a good rivalry.
Yeah, that'd be good. That's fun.
Yeah,
definitely.
Message boards were the way to beat video games back in the day. Like, not that many people appreciate that stuff because, like, before like YouTube, like before there was any like recording software for YouTube, before you could like post like gameplays and stuff like that, like I'd go on to message boards and be like, all right, what's the combo I need to get past this level, or what do I need to get through here? So
it's also how you ever fixed your car.
Yeah, that too.
Like I'm still part of the Toyota Tacoma like taco forums. Like I still get updates there. So yeah, man, they definitely still have their place. I love it. I should hang out there more often.
I know it's awesome. It's an incredible thing. So yeah, you youngsters don't get to realize the struggle back then and how awesome it was.
No, it's still so good.
We needed something back in the day because it was so hard to find Sevilla games online. So we used that. We had a WordPress blog for the longest time, and that just didn't work. Like you just couldn't create a community with that.
Yeah, websites don't work really anymore unless you're a business.
Well, and then it was like, like in the 2000s, like my dad found a way to use like Globecast, which was like a European satellite service where he was able to get like, European channels, but like you're watching the Champions League in French or Middle Eastern or whatever, and then it was just like, before the Paramount Pluses of the world and all that other fun stuff and, the BT Sports. But yeah, dude, 90s, 2000s was a struggle. It was so hard.
These kids today, so easy. We had to walk uphill both ways. And
I know. They can watch a game on Twitter now.
At least for once, the boomer comments aren't going to be directed at me. They're going straight to Dash this time.
I'm right there with you, Dash.
Appreciate it.
All right, let's dive right into the meat of it because this is kind of like a fact-finding mission. Most fans don't, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of times we don't get to watch the other football, and certainly not as much as our own team. So we want to learn about Sevilla in its current state, the season so far, because we understand it has been a bit of a struggle for you guys. Bit of a rough start. So I'll let you guys get into it. Tell us how the season's gone, the new coaching changes, and basically how things have gone since.
I just want to say this though, because they hired Jorge Sampaoli at the beginning. Like they had Jorge Sampaoli at the beginning of the season. I am so sorry for you guys.
Well, we got him in the middle of the season. He didn't start the season. That's his second stint with us. So, and his first stint, I've got a picture of me with Sampaoli somewhere, but I met him in 2016 in Orlando. But Yeah, so I mean, he was terrible this time. First time around, he was pretty good for us. He did well, but this time it was a nightmare from the get go. And like I mentioned, second coach of the year. Now we're on to our third coach of the year. It's just been a train wreck of a season. Started in the summer. Just a terrible transfer window. We lost Jules Koundé and Diego Carlos, our two really good center backs, young, brought in a lot of money, but not quite as much as we wanted. We lost one right at the end of the season, or right at the start of the transfer window, and then Koundé towards the end, and just didn't allow them to really reinvest properly. We took some chances, brought in a Nianzou from Bayern Munich, and he's been kind of shaky. He's only 20 years old, I think, so he's a young guy. Yeah. And then we brought in a veteran, Marcal from, where'd we get him from?
Galatasaray, I think. Galatasaray.
Yeah. Turkish league. Yeah. So we swapped a Brazilian for a Brazilian and a Frenchman for a Frenchman. And it looked good on paper. It hasn't worked. Marcal's been hurt most of the year, and just that defense was terrible in the early season. We couldn't get our legs under us. Couldn't score to save our life. Top scorer from the prior years in Nesri. Just couldn't get anything going. Wasn't getting service. Then they went to the World Cup, and he came back on fire, and that's kind of when things started changing a little bit for us. But then Sampaoli, I guess he came in, November or late October? I think Sampaoli came in after Lopetegui got fired. And then Sampaoli made it till, I think, March, and then he got canned, and we brought in Lopetegui. Or sorry, not Lopetegui. Mendilibar. Mendilibar. It's been a confusing season, guys. It's a lot. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. So Mendilibar, who's kind of known to save teams, because I mean we were down in that relegation battle. So he's come in, and I think he's what do they see? 6 wins, 2 draws, 1 defeat since he came in. So he's kind of righted the ship. Got us playing well, knocking out Manchester United there in the Europa League, so we can face you guys coming up again.
We're actually a little disappointed because we wanted to be the ones to knock out Man U, but good job on your behalf for doing so.
You guys gave us so much comedic material because, so while you guys sacked 2 coaches, everyone was like, we should sack Allegri, we should have gotten Ten Hag, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, well, is this your king?
Yeah,
this is your king, 3-0. So all credit to you guys because, that first leg, the fact that you guys made Maguire essentially score 2 goals for you.
He was our best player.
He's your best player and your best assist maker in the second leg.
It was just a comedy of errors from those guys.
It was awesome. I loved every minute of it.
Me too. As long as Man U loses, right? That's all that matters.
I think we were actually live when we were having a live show when that happened, and it was announced, and it was like, no, that didn't happen. And Dash found like the clip, anyways, some footage that we can show, and I'm like, no, it's happening. It's real.
Nobody gave us a chance in this, the 2-leg series.
Yeah,
I did.
Did you? Yeah,
I pulled the footage. I did. I said, watch these guys knock out Man United just because it's just. I should have put money on it. I'm disappointed that it didn't.
Sevilla.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Sevilla is kind of the Real Madrid of Europa League.
The boogeyman. That's what.
There you go. Yeah.
Baba Yaga.
Always win at the end, but this is going to be a tough match, with Juventus. So. Because it's interesting because we discussed this in the forum as well in Monchi's Man. We have very similar, forums now with Juventus. You also had some ups and downs. Of course, you performed way much better in the league, and plus you got your points back now. So that's it's still not final.
No, they might take some at the end of the season.
The news has been pouring back out the past couple days, and I don't understand any of it because it's all lawyer speak translated from Italian. So none of it makes sense.
Yeah, and then we've got like the hyper ambitious Juve news channels that are trying to translate it to try to get that quick scoop, and none of it makes any sense.
No,
And you
it's
ask them like, "So, great, you posted this. What does it mean?"
Yeah.
It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
yeah, but you're
confusing.
right. We both had similar seasons in many
Very
respects.
similar, very similar. Yeah. So we had ups and downs as well. Plus we changed coaches, as Chris mentioned. Mendilamar actually came to. It was a lower cost option, and probably the best option for short term. But he's kind of overperforming now. Plus, he doesn't have, for example, he doesn't have European stage experience, so it's something new for him as well. But so far, it's going very good, and I think this is what this actual squad needed. Because with Sampaoli, I mean, he was attacking minded, and we all liked Sampaoli because we finished fourth back in his first time in 2016. But this time around, I think it was just not Sampaoli's team, because he needs to have a specific team for his way of playing, for his tactics to work. And Mendilbar, so far, I hope we can continue with him, and I hope he becomes our Simeone, Chris.
There you go. Yeah, as Shindo was saying, I mean, this guy he's managed kind of these lower teams all of his life, fighting relegation every time. He was the manager of Ibar, that's kind of up in the northern part of Spain. I think there are 12,000 residents of this town.
That's it, eh? Wow.
So they got promoted. Their stadium was like, when they got promoted, I think their stadium sat like 5,000 people. And La Liga was like, hey, that ain't going to work. So they made them actually do renovations and figure out how to reconstruct the stadium before the league started, so they could get more people. Anyway, long story short, he was able to keep that team up for 6 seasons in the top flight, which, I mean, they had a very, very small budget. So he's never really had players of our quality, to deal with. He gets a lot of flack because he is very simplistic in his style, very direct, very attack-minded. And a lot of people just say it's kind of old-school football, not really the new way of doing things, which who cares, right? Like, if you got results.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's all that matters, right? Just get it done. And I think he actually resonated with the players a little bit, made them get out of their head, because, I mean, Sampaoli is just so, like, scheme-oriented and just confused the players like crazy. And he's just stripped it all away and said, hey, just go play football. Kick it, score. That's it, right? And it's interesting to see what he's going to do with these players and having a budget. He's only on contract through the end of this season. And there's talk, are we going to extend him? Who knows?
So question is, would you say hypothetically you don't win you get knocked out by us, would you still keep him?
I think if he achieves the goals of whatever that was set for him, I know we're not going to get relegated, so we're going to stay up. If that was a goal, sure. I don't know. Personally, if it was me, I would give him a year.
Definitely.
This team is we're set up for a real budget issue coming up, and we've got a lot of team that's going to be turning over in the summer. Maybe not this summer, maybe the following summer. So he's going to have probably some of these same players next year, and they're older. I don't know that a new guy can come in and do anything with this team. So it might be smart to at least give him one full season, and see what he can do. Why not?
Because the reason why I ask is because right now, currently in La Liga, you guys are 11th with 44 points. It's you're tied with Osana, but the 7th place team, which is Conference League football, is Girona, and you guys recently lost 2-0 to them. But again, you're 3 points away from Girona from essentially going into the Conference League, which again, that gives you some European competition money. So one of those things where, I was playing a little bit kind of like an advocate here, where it's like, even if he doesn't make it into he doesn't make it to the finals of the Europa League with 5 games left, you're really capable of pushing for that conference league. And then if you start stringing a hot streak to close out the season, you might be able to challenge Real Betis for the Europa League spot.
Well, and
That's a hope, right? Yeah.
Well, I was about to say, like, I think at this point, I mean, if he wins the Europa League, it's a no-brainer. They have to sign him. I think that's just a no-brainer. But if he loses to Betis, it's over. He's not going to get signed. I don't think. I think it comes down to that game, right, Shandum? Like, if he loses that game, there's no chance. That's what it means. Yeah.
And that's one of the things where I'm kind of curious on your guys' perspective, because on the 18th you have us, and then on the 21st you have Betis. And again, you win that game, essentially the Europa League spot goes from where it's at 8 points to 5, and that makes the last 4 games really, really juicy and really, really stressful for you guys.
Yeah, we don't say if we're going to win against Betis. It's when we are going to win against Betis. I don't know if you guys know that rivalry a lot, but it's one of the best rivalries in football in Europe.
I did read up about it. Yeah, that's your crosstown rival, correct?
Yeah, their stadiums are maybe 10 miles away, if that. I mean, it's so close, and the derbies are just heated. I mean, so heated, and it's one of the best in Spain. So if you guys aren't playing that day, definitely tune in and watch that match. I think everybody would love it.
I should actually. I don't know if I've leaked my information yet. Have you noticed the scarf and the jersey in the background?
Dave's a closet Sevilla fan.
I noticed it I was watching one of your priors, and I was like, wait, what? Did he just buy that for the podcast?
No.
I was going to ask you about it, and I'm glad you brought it up.
So a couple years ago, I was working overseas for a little while, and we made a stopover for a couple days. Malaga, Spain is where we were staying. Nice little southern town. It was November. It was off season, whatever. But hey, it was the nicest. It was the Mediterranean. I was not complaining. So we're there for a couple days, and we have to fly out Sunday night. I'm like, what's the chances I can find a La Liga game to watch? So I just open up Google, search, and I see Sevilla. Sevilla versus Alaves. Train ride. By the way, my hotel's attached to the train station. 2-hour train ride. I bought tickets and went. So, yeah, me and it was funny. It was 7 other guys. One guy had played football, soccer, whatever. We're Canadians. We played soccer. He played it as a kid, so we understood generally what was happening. The other guys had never watched this. They had no clue. No idea what was going on. But I tell you what, the atmosphere there was so intense, so crazy, that they all put it at like the top of their list of one of their life experiences. They all came out loving it, even though they had no clue what just happened. But this game was so wild. It started to thunderstorm. It was the end of November. It was like everyone was starting to put up the Christmas decorations in the mall and stuff, right? Like, it was that kind of atmosphere. But the thunder just rolled in. It was a complete mess. They were trying to boot the ball and it would go 2 feet in front of them. They just had like this look of disappointment on their face, right? Like, it was just such a messy game. It ended up tying 2-2, and there was goals off corners. There was just like beautiful crosses. It had everything. This game was amazing. And man, the drummer and the flag waver and the curva, they did not care that there was thunder and lightning. They just kept on going for 90 straight minutes, and it was amazing. It was such a cool experience. So there's my closet Sevilla experience. I got the scarf and the jersey. I was a fan for a day.
Perfect. That's a great story. Yeah, definitely.
You can always have more than one team, so you can watch more Sevilla games.
I will. Unfortunately, I also root for Toronto FC. Which it's my local club, whatever.
Well, I'm a DC United fan because I'm here in the DC area, so it's
of course.
You have to do that. It's just not fun to watch most of the time. I'm just happy that it was Sevilla at home that weekend and not Betis at home that weekend. So
because that's where I would have.
You would end up having an ugly green kit.
That's so ugly. I like this one way better. Black and red. It suits me better.
Exactly. So, I mean, guys, we've had experiences with each other in the past with Champions League, right? So,
Yes.
I mean, you pretty much dominated most of those, except for that one match in Sevilla where Marcus Llorente got that headed goal, which actually we had to have to go and win that 2016 Europa League.
Yeah,
So
Europa
if he
League,
didn't
yeah.
score that, we would have not have progressed to the Europa League. So thanks for allowing that to happen. And
There you go.
I watched a little bit of those highlights today, and I was like, oh man, that was a tight game. Like you guys almost came back and scored.
Yeah, and you're welcome for Llorente also, because that was the season we let him go to.
Yeah.
Did we loan him from you? I can't remember how that happened.
I don't remember so Llorente was part of the Carlos Tevez, Alvaro Morata, and those as the trio back then when we went to the final against Barcelona and unfortunately lost because Dani Alves decided to hold and body slam Pogba. Story for another time. But the following season was kind of like a miniature squad refresh because again, you lose Pirlo, you lose Arturo Vidal, you lose Tevez, so you start losing some integral players for that squad. So then we kind of started to do a little bit of a rebuild in 15-16. So you bring in Paulo Dybala. Morata was the only striker that stayed. Llorente left as well. Brought in Mario Mandzukic. And then, we still had the staple back three of Chiellini, Barzagli, and Bonucci, but we kind of had to retool in the middle of the field per se. So that was an interesting season for us because that's kind of what really picked up our run, and that's where we went and became essentially like world beaters in 16, 17, 17, 18, and then Ronaldo coming in, and then right after.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was a bit of it was quite unfortunate that you had to face Real Madrid in the final because if any other team would be there, you would beat them. But Real Madrid was just unstoppable, and the same goes for Barcelona. It was maybe one of the best Barcelona's ever, and you had to face them in the final, so it was a bit
Hey,
quite unlucky.
Tell
So,
that to every Interista and every Milanista because
yeah.
that's all we get. That's all they tell us. You guys lost in two finals, and we're just waiting for one of them to get
Unfortunate.
smoked by Real Madrid or Man City so we can for it.
Yeah.
So there's your answer. Free transfer.
Yeah, it's free transfer.
Yeah,
I couldn't remember
free
if
transfer.
we loaned him or if because he was only there for a season.
Yeah, only for a season. Yeah.
And then he went to Tottenham.
He didn't do too much while he was with us either. It was just maybe that goal and a couple others, but it wasn't great. But he showed up that day, which was awesome. It was good to have. But anyway, so we've had some history. I think we know each other pretty well, and I don't think your style's changed too much since then.
This just got worse.
Yeah, the players got, for better or worse, a lot of them got younger and less experienced. That's kind of where we're at now. Still got a couple of the old timers, but Bonucci in particular, and DiMaria, mind you, he's an old timer, but not old to us, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, just a much younger, less experienced squad overall. But the style, yeah, exactly the same. I would say, not too dissimilar, same coaches, whatnot.
Same coach, yeah.
Yeah, the thing is it's a similar. So with Juve, it's a similar counterattacking style, but with less quality players doing it. And I think that's one of the things where a lot of Juventini have an issue with coming to terms is we don't have the same quality that we did in our 9 consecutive Scudetto title run. It's just we don't, because like for example, midfield engine of Marquisio. Well, I mean, we have Pogba back, but Pogba's not the same Pogba as 5-6 years ago. I mean, he's just started playing again. And then you don't have Pjanic, which essentially was the conductor of the midfield, where you have Locatelli and Fagioli, where they're both raw. Fagioli is really, really raw. Locatelli is starting to get a little bit more tenderized, more seasoned, but he's still pretty raw. So Juve, interesting is they're a very young team right now. And the thing is where Allegri as a coach tactically varies, and the reason why it's not as effective, because I think one of the things that I've noticed a lot with these younger generations or these younger players is you need more management per se, versus like, for example, if you look at the coaches of old, like you look at the Carlo Ancelotti's, again, the Massimiliano Allegri's, like the old Italian coaches were, I will conduct you in defensive organization. I will tell you how to play defense, how to mark up, how to watch it. Offensively, do your thing. Where, because again, even back then, like for example, in Serie A was, an absolute beast of a league at the time. A lot of our midfield players, just their IQ was so ridiculous that they really conducted the counterattacks and the offense versus more of the coaches. Like for example, you look at Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid right now. He looks at Modric and he says, "Cook, bro. It's all you." Because, like for example, he's organized Madrid defensively, and then, like for example, offensively, he lets Kroos and Modric essentially conduct the offense and the counterattack. Allegri's the same way. When we played against you guys in the Champions League, Marquisio, a great Pogba, those guys essentially, hey, move it, do your thing, run with it. Where it's like now, he still does the same thing, but instead of that, we have, again, Locatelli, Fagioli, and Rabiot, where, again, Rabiot's having an excellent season, but Rabiot isn't the most playmaking midfielder out there, though he has
He's a
been
body.
doing
He just bodies people.
Yeah.
And once in a while, just puts a foot through something.
Exactly. So, it's interesting because it really is a difference. Because, like, for example, the last time we played you guys in 2016, so this was our squad makeup. So we're running a 4-3-3. So we had Dani Alves, Rugani, Bonucci, and Evra as our back four. And then our midfield was Sami Khedira, Marquisio, and Pjanic. So, like, that midfield is insanely good. Yeah. And then our forwards are Cuadrado, Sandro, and Mandzukic, which that was a very interesting squad rotation that Allegri did then. But
did you say Sandro?
Sandro's a left winger. Alex Sandro in 2016.
Yes. I guess
insane.
That's Sandro.
Yeah, that Sandro.
Just to hear it now, you're like, what did he say?
Insane. Yeah. He was so good he could play left, because when Allegri used the 4-2-3-1, sometimes if like Mandzukic was too tired, he would play Evra as a left back and Alexandro as a left winger. So, like Sandro was so good. Like the thing is a lot of people like troll Sandro now, and Sandro's not what he once was, but Alexandro for 2 seasons was unplayable as a left back. It was, he was challenging Marquisio for the best left back in the world at that time. But
so what you're saying is that Allegri played a left back as a left winger and then converted a right winger as a right back.
Well, Cuadrado technically wasn't converted by Allegri. He was converted by Maurizio Sarri. So, because I know a lot of people, so there's a meme that goes out there that Allegri buys like expensive forwards to have him play left back.
Yeah.
This
played left back one time.
Yeah, I blame Pirlo for that one because that was hilarious. Pirlo's like, hey, let me throw him as a left back, and then Berna's like, no, I'm a right winger. What are you doing? But, yeah, Juve. To be honest with you guys, I would say 1920 till now, Juve has been a little bit of a mess. Because again, financial stuff plays a factor into it, but as well as kind of recycling the squad, because Allegri left in 18-19 because he essentially told the board, he's like, hey, look, we need a full reboot. Like bringing Ronaldo was not a great idea. We should have re-bolstered the squad in other places. And they're like, no, we're in win now mode. We got to win because we have Ronaldo. And Allegri's like, well, I can't do it. I'm out. And then he leaves. And then our fantastic sporting director, and I say it sarcastically, Mr. Paratici, was like, hey, let me bring in Maurizio Sarri, because I wanted Pep Guardiola, but I can't get Pep Guardiola because it's not remotely possible. So they do that. They overspend. Like, in my opinion, they overspend on De Ligt. 85 million for a central defender is ridiculous, no matter the era. Because, like, for example, could you imagine then what Maldini and Cannavaro and those legendary Italian defenders would have been? Over 100 million. But again, you overspend for De Ligt, and then again you have Ronaldo's ridiculous wages. You pay Ramsey a ridiculous amount for his wages when we had Aaron Ramsey, which was he's usually in the hospital for most of the time. Then you had Rabiot that wasn't playing very well until this season, again with a high salary. So, and then financial burden, COVID happens, completely throws Juve into the mud. So it's now we're starting to kind of reintegrate and regenerate, but at the same time right now, Juve is really, and I'm not too sure if you guys know, but Juve really relies on their under 23 team for their first team. So, like, for example, we've had a bunch of notables in Matthias Soulé, who is from the under 23 team, Illing Jr., who scored this weekend from the under 23 team, Fabio Moretti, who's another starter from the under-23 team.
He still hasn't scored.
Still hasn't scored. Misses. He has the finishing capabilities of Fernando Torres at Chelsea. And then you have Berenachea that's also came into the squad as well, and then Barberi. So like Juve's got about 6 or 7 starting players that are from the under-23s.
6 is the official start. They've started officially 6 under-23s.
Wow.
That's not saying that's just starting. I think
they've like 5,000 minutes, I believe.
Yeah.
In total.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
So and that's where it kind of comes into the problem, because they're young, they're raw, so you need more of a hand-holding coach to really get the best out of them. Same thing with Dusan Vlahovic, who's only 23 years old as well, who again, was a great striker coming in from Fiorentina, but this season hasn't really produced that much per se. Same thing with Federico Chiesa. Chiesa's, I believe, 25, 26 years old, so he's not even that old either.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's kind of with the issue with Allegri, where Allegri will bring you the stability, but I think it's a lot of times where there's a lot of games where we look at it and Dave and I watch it and our players make really boneheaded decisions offensively or on the counter, where it's like Allegri doesn't really tell players, go here, do this, do that. So it's we're in a weird transition, because Juve is traditional and old school, but the team that they have isn't that at all.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm just looking at like transfers from this past season and like the money spent, and I'm just like, man, you brought in
nice.
what? Yeah, exactly. I mean, what, 2 players over 40 million? We've never spent over 30 for one player, so it's just amazing the difference.
I think if outside of Pau Torres, I think that's going to be the last time you see us spend over 40 million for a while.
Yeah, when we need to spend it and to get a proper center back, you kind of have to, or proper fullbacks. But otherwise we're not.
And the irony of it is so you're talking about the current transfer. So all of that was paid from De Ligt's sale to Bayern Munich. So Juve did not for all the players that we picked up, Kostic, DiMaria, Pogba, and all of them. If you add all their total sums, it's less than the De Ligt transfer. So essentially, they used De Ligt's sale to fund it, which I think. I'm thinking they're going to probably sell Dusan Vlahovic for a hefty penny, and then they're probably going to use that to fund rebuilds as well, because we're really, really, really tight on money.
Wow.
We've been bailed out. So Stellantis Group is who owns us. They also own like Ferrari F1, Fiat, New Holland Tractors. They're this massive conglomerate, and they've injected, I think, 700 million euros over the past 2-3 seasons just to like break us even. It's ridiculous. It's really not the way to be doing things.
Yeah, the Ronaldo project really screwed with us. I mean, the pandemic helped too, but it's just we were paying Ronaldo astronomical wages. Like it was 60 million net. It was 60 million gross, and then it went down to like 30 million net a season.
That's amazing.
And we're one of the 2 teams in Italy that own our stadium, so like we were affected by the lack of the ticket sales as well, and the merch. I mean, we can cry more than the next guy. I mean, the situation is what it is. We mismanaged it. Well, Paratici and his cronies, I guess.
and our president too, because our president signed off on a lot of this stuff as well. So Agnelli and Paratici did really fumble the bag on that one.
That's something that's kind of different with our club, because it is, we don't have any major investors. I mean, it's all, small owners. Our president is I think like 30% owner or something, and then I don't know. We've got our own like issues in the boardroom. I mean, just nasty infighting going on there. It's crazy. The old president who went to jail a few years ago is now trying to come back and be president again. His son is the vice president, and they're like in outs and stuff. So it's very Southern European kind of family drama there in our team. So I don't know. But it's nice that you don't have to worry about like some outside investor right now coming in and just kind of screwing us up. And I don't know. But we're in the same boat as far as finances. I mean, we did okay that first year coming out of COVID, and then it just killed it with the next 2 years. So. We'll see. Financially, we've always been a buy low, sell club or sell high club, So I think we've got to get back to those ways, and we've made too many mistakes here recently as well.
Yeah, I mean the guys are talking about Ronaldo and other big name players. Our riskiest investment as of late was Martial from Manchester United.
Oh,
He's
wasn't that a loan
great.
deal?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was 1 million per month, kind of like 6 million or until the summer from from
1
January
million
to-
per month,
yeah.
eh? That's a different way of doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
6
yeah.
million
So,
for
because
6 months.
we were pushing for the title, last season. At least we thought so from the beginning, and then it didn't work out as planned. But yeah, so that also was a factor. But yeah, and the pandemic was also a huge factor because everything went, from ticket sales and everything, which clubs like Sevilla really depend on economically. But yeah, we don't
What's
have like the huge financial risks that Juventus takes or something.
Yeah. And what's
Yeah.
the financial structure of like your media deals there? Is it shared equally, or is it tier based upon finish, or how does that kind of work?
So it's tier based on finish, but like for example, our winner makes pennies compared to what the Premier League's 20th place team
So
makes.
our number one, I think, makes 93 million
93,
euros.
yep.
And then 20th place in EPL is just over 100.
160 million.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like for example with you guys in La Liga, it's like Barcelona and Real Madrid get 150, 160 million, and then like the third place team gets like 50 or 60. So
Yeah.
Serie A, it's a little bit more
It's
kind of,
there's less money to give out, so that it's tighter.
it's
Okay.
tighter. But the thing is like, so with Juve, a lot of our investments, again, they come from the stadium. They come from, consistent places in Europe. So like, for example, it's not, because those 9-10 years of dominance that we had, we were able to stockpile some of that cash that we blew on Ronaldo, ironically. But that was one of those things, how we were able to maintain that level of consistency because, in our opinion, we carried Serie A on our back for those 10 seasons because it was us and then nobody else. Like, I mean, you had
Absolutely.
Roma, Lazio, and Napoli in the Champions League, and they, with all respect to those clubs, they don't have any business being there. I mean, Lazio, again, in the Conference League, getting beat by some no-name team in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it shows it. But yeah, like with us, it was, again, we were the ones that were, trying to bring it in. And even with Ronaldo coming into Serie A, we were able to bring so much money for other teams because a lot of teams, whenever, we'd go to away games when Ronaldo was playing, they purposely would jack up their ticket prices because, you're going to Verona, you're going to so-and-so, and, you're going to see Ronaldo, so they would purposely do it. So a lot, and the thing is the irony of it is this current little Serie A resurgence that people are calling because of a lot of the team's placement in Europe was essentially kind of on the back end of Ronaldo, because you had Ronaldo in Serie A for 18, 19, 19, 20. And then 2021. So you had him for at least 3 seasons there where some teams were able to build up and muster some financial work into it. And they were able to, kind of spread the wealth and go for it. But yeah, it's for us, it's a little bit of a downturn, but hopefully within the next 2 or 3 years, we can start. Because right now, I think if anything, we've hit the bottom of the barrel. So really the only thing that we can do is just go up.
Yeah.
It's amazing just to see how the leagues kind of went from being the top in the States there for a while. I mean, everybody was, watching Serie A here in the U.S. and then just kind of, slowly dropped. And then
I blame the Premier League and Comcast because the thing is like, so one of the things that we always say about the Premier League is they're owned by their TV rights are owned by essentially the biggest American telecommunications company, which is NBC Universal, which again, every time you watch a Fast and Furious movie, just know that you're funding the Premier League.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, Dominic Toretto is helping Manchester City become more dominant by the family, each family at a time.
Never seen any of those movies, so
Good.
I'm not helping.
I saw the first one, I know that, but I have not seen Fast. I have not seen any of the ones that were just called Fast. Let's say that. Oh man! So let's talk a bit tactically. Setting up your 4-2-3-1, correct? That's your standard setup, or
Now, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Now, since Coach 3. And is that a locked-in kind of thing, or is this something that gets teased around a bit?
Not yet. It's pretty much been standard. The players floating around a little bit, who's where, but that's pretty much what he's stuck with since he arrived. Hasn't tweaked that hardly at all. So, is that the who scored for tomorrow? Is it what?
No,
It's,
we use
the FOP mod. Yeah, FOP mod. It's all the same. That's projected. Does that look accurate?
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Torres probably. Well, I don't know. He might play tomorrow because we were playing Suso in that kind of behind the striker role, but he came up injured last match. You'll probably see that. Maybe Brian Hill for Lamela, but or maybe Lamela in that middle position over Torres, and then Brian Hill out wide. But I would say that's more than likely what we're going to see tomorrow.
Yeah. So if you're just listening, it's I should get you guys to do it because you messed up the names less than we would. So yeah, say your lineup.
Sure. Starting at the back in the keeper slot, it's the Canadian Moroccan Bono. He's actually born in Canada, but plays for the Moroccan national team. Bono.
Cool, nice, cool Canadian reference.
Dave be a jersey and a Canadian. He's buying it.
There you go. Then we got Jesus Navas out wide, right wing there. Right back. Yeah, the never aging Jesus Navas, 38 years old, I believe now. Bade is our center back. He's on loan from. Jeez, where's he from? Shannon, do you remember?
From Rennes, I think. Rennes.
Yeah, I think he is from Rennes. You're right. Yeah, but there was rumors today that we might make that permanent deal. Gadelli, who's kind of our savior to the season. He's naturally a defensive midfielder, but he's filled in almost all year at center back because we've just been injured at that position all year, and he's just been a rock back there. Really, really fun player. Scored some goals for the first time with Sevilla this year. Some bangers. Bangers from distance. So if he gets a chance, he might pull the trigger. Acuna out wide. He's if you guys saw any of the Manchester, or sorry, I said out wide, but left back. If you watched any of the Manchester United game, he just put Anthony in his pocket. Sorry, I wanted to add that. Just put him in his pocket. I mean, he dominated that kind of matchup. So he's a lockdown left back that can get forward, deliver crosses. He's really good. Kind of him and Navas make this team kind of work, especially if they're delivering crosses. We've got good chances. Fernando's our center defensive mid. Fernando's been around for a long time. Played at Manchester City for a bit. He's 30. All of our team's old. I mean, we're kind of old. Rakitic, everybody knows Rakitic. He'll probably line up there alongside Fernando.
So both your DMs are 35.
Yeah.
How does that work out? I guess defensive, they don't have to move too much. But
Rakitic isn't one of those players that runs all over the place. Rakitic is a very good passer.
No, I do like Rakitic. That's it's a good name to have on your squad.
Him and Modric were like the yin and yang of that Croatian midfield, where it's like Modric was like more of the offensive midfielder. Rakitic would kind of sit back. So
yeah, and Rakitic will get forward a little more than Fernando will, depending on what's happening in the game. He'll run with the ball a little bit up. Lucas Campos.
Sorry, just to tease that out. Are they playing more defensive mid together, or that they pivot? Like, how does that midfield work?
Mainly Fernando will stay back. He'll even drop back as a third center back sometimes, depending on kind of how much pressure the opposite team's putting in. Earlier in the year, when we didn't have the ball, he'd drop in as a third defensive back.
Okay.
Or center back there. So he'll still be playing kind of that. In Mendelebar and Sindham, you can correct me if I'm wrong. He's been more forward. He hasn't dropped as far back. Rakitic, and we'll have to be a little So Rakitic normally doesn't play this position in the league. We've got a guy, Pape guy, that's on loan, who's that second center defensive mid. Rakitic is only playing this in Europa League because he wasn't included in the roster. So that's kind of why he's in this position. But he'll kind of float all over. He doesn't stick around to that position very often. And that's really the same with our three in front. They'll swap wings. You'll see Ocampos on the left some. You'll see him on the right. Same with Lamela or Brian Hill, whoever's lined up there. What we're looking at the screen, they've got Ocampos as a right winger, Lamela as a left winger. They could play either position. More than likely, I think you'll see Brian Hill, who's on loan from Tottenham, at a left wing spot, and Ocampos on the right. And then I don't know that kind of guy right behind the striker. It might be Torres. I doubt it. But I don't know who else it'll be tomorrow unless it's Lamela, depending on if Suso's healthy. And then our top man strikers and Yusuf En-Nesyri, who you guys probably remember from the World Cup. Yeah. He had a really good World Cup with Morocco.
He's going to feature on the thumbnail for this episode. He is not
nice. He's he's kind of a strange player. Like, he's very athletic. He can jump really high and win headers and score with his head. He's gotten better recently with his feet. He's always been kind of clumsy, he's almost like a giraffe, like running,
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Definitely during the World Cup, I just was like I was just so perplexed with how he moves.
And his touch is always terrible, but here recently his touch has been good, which I think we're all like, what happened? Did they sacrifice something, or I don't know? But
he got Gorilla Glue on his shoes.
8 goals.
Yeah, I mean, ever since the World Cup, he's starting to bang some things in. Top tallyman this year. I think, what is it? 17 total goals, I believe, through all competitions. So really good. That's it. I mean, our bench is kind of thin right now. We're hurt. We got Rekic back, who's a center back. You might see him tomorrow. Maybe Gudeli moves back up into that center defensive mid, but that's very risky. I don't know if we'll see that or not. And then our backup striker, he's I don't know, Rafa Mir. You might see him. He's a Spaniard, but he doesn't play very much. I mean, Papu Gomez.
Yes, another ex-Serie A guy from Atalanta.
Yeah, I mean, he's still there. He hasn't played too much this year. He's been hurt, and but I mean, you might see him start. I don't know. He had a terrible game last game, and the last start he had anyway. And I don't know if you'll see him featured at all. He might come off the bench. And then,
how about this guy that looks like he came from a Beatles album?
Well, that's what they call him, right? Like, that's it. Brian Hill. That's he's on loan from Tottenham. We actually sold. It's kind of funny. We sold Tottenham Brian Hill, and then we signed Lamela from Tottenham on a free, and then we ended up loaning Brian Hill back from Tottenham for since January. So it's kind of just weird that we got both of them on the squad now, and he's playing pretty well. He's very lanky, very wiry, fast. He'll cause anybody that's trying to defend him, some headaches over there. That's for you guys. Who would that be? That'd be
on our left or our right.
You're right.
An awkward, lanky Brit. I don't know if he had any.
Well, yeah, I guess it's Cuadrado, right? I mean, that's who.
Yeah.
So we got to ask because one of our viewers asked about him. Jesus Corona. We got to because
Frankie, this is for you.
Frankie will drink a Corona if we don't answer this question for him.
He's terrible. I think that's why they told me to say that.
My troll's gone.
Sorry. And we're going to Mexico in July. Sevilla's coming to Guadalajara, and I'm traveling down there, so I don't want any Mexican fan to be upset with me. So Jesus Corona is awesome, but in truth, I mean, he is really good. He's just got injured at the first part of the season and had a really bad break, and he's just now kind of getting back in the squad.
You wanna know how you get really friendly with people in Guadalajara? Just wear a Chivas jersey. Just go in there. Chivas, vamos Chivas.
There you go. It's gonna be that stadium that we're at, so it should be fun.
Just make fun of Club America. You make fun of Club America and Monterrey. You're golden.
There you go. Should be fun. Shindam, anything you want to talk about the lineup? Did I screw anything up there?
No, I think you're pretty accurate. This is probably what we're going to see tomorrow night. As you mentioned, maybe Gio in front instead of Lamela, but other than that, or the front three behind Enesir might swap places, but other than that, we'll go with this formation.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you guys this, because I've been looking at some of your guys' recent matches. So when you guys are away from home, you barely shoot. When you guys are at home, you guys put up like 30 shots a game. So is that on purpose, or is it just random coincidences?
I think it's, I don't know. Jendam, you want to answer that?
I mean, it really differs because first there's a difference of Sevilla's performance in Europa League and in the league. Because if we play like we played against Man United the second leg, where we beat them 3-0, I think we can basically beat any team, and give them, or at least give them a very, very hard time. But if we play like we have played in some of the league matches, then I think we stand no chance. So it's really a kind of a yin yang, performance, and we will not know what Sevilla to expect tomorrow night.
Because it was interesting, because when you guys went to Old Trafford, you guys put up 20 shots, and then you put up 30 shots at home against Man United, which you guys just absolutely peppered them. But like, for example, like the game that you guys lost to Girona, you guys put up like maybe 4 or 5 shots, and then there's a game that you won at home that I forgot the team name, but let me see if I can pull that up, because I had your recent matches. But like, for example, you played Espanyol, and then
ton of shots there. Girona was actually at home. I made that same mistake in our podcast this week, but that was a home game. But to your point, the game when we went to Athletic Club Bilbao, there was 1 shot total on goal.
Yeah, it was the penalty
for both teams, and it was a penalty shot. So
93rd minute or something.
Yeah, I don't think there's any difference in how we line up. I think Dave kind of hit on it a little bit ago when he was talking about how he became kind of a closet Sevilla fan, soon to not be a closet Sevilla fan, but it's that atmosphere at home. I think that drives the team more than anything, and they demand a lot. And if the locals aren't happy with how they're playing, they let them know. And I think that's one reason. But like tactically, I don't really see a big difference in how we set up or really approach the game. Some teams will kind of go more defensively, and away. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of strange. I don't have a good answer.
And it's fair, because it's like, for example, I'm looking at a lot of the stats, and it shows that you guys are a possession-heavy team. You like to have the ball. It's not kind of like sit back and go on the counter, which is almost kind of like the counter. Like, for example, what we do differently is we let you guys have the ball, and then we try to be decisive in our counterattacks. But like for us, our projected lineup is Chesney, Sandro. Bremer is confirmed to be out, so Glenson Bremer will not be playing tomorrow. It will be Walgani, our new nickname for Rugani, because Rugani absolutely stiff-armed Zapata in the last game, which was awesome. But Rugani, and then Danilo, and then again, I know a lot of Juventini are complaining why Gatti isn't starting. It's kind of hard for Gatti to beat Danilo for the starting position. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, I like Gatti.
And to answer
toss
some
up.
folks' question is Gatti is a right center back, and the reason why he was playing was Sandro was hurt, so Danilo filled up on the left, and Gatti was able to start on the right. So that was that there. We've got Filip Kostic, who is starting on the left. We'll see. He's been dealing with some fatigue issues, so
He's
maybe
been rested.
he's been rested-ish. And then the midfield three, which is always the most consistent part of our team, which is Rabiot, who is essentially your enforcer, where he just tackles people. Tackles and heads balls in from corners. That's really Rabiot's MO.
Is that really how he's been scoring? I've noticed he had a lot of goals this year, and so it's mostly headers from
loose balls and headers from corners.
Okay.
So you're saying the difference between Rabiot and Locatelli is that one scores, but they both just tackle people.
They do. And then Fagioli is kind of more so the playmaker of the midfielder, though usually Juventus relies on Kostic or Quadrado to attack, because the thing is like Juve attack, their attack is usually a giant U. It's either you send it out to Kostic and then Kostic kind of crosses in hopes that someone gets behind it, or for example you send it to the right side where Quadrado or DiMaria makes some magic happen. Our attack is not consistent. It's not fluid. I'm going to be honest with you. Defensively, we're solid. We're tough to break down. But
Third
really,
best defense, or third most clean sheets in Europe, behind
yep.
Man U and Barcelona.
But tactically speaking, Juve's attack is really hingent on whether or not Kostic is able to break some space and cross the ball into the box, or whether or not DiMaria is able to slot a pass through the lines. Again, striking issues. Dusan hasn't been the greatest this season. Hasn't really been performing well.
But he's got 2 in a row now.
He did get 2 in a row. Some folks can argue and say it's lack of service. Other folks can say that the dude can't touch the ball at all and absolutely has terrible build-up play. Again, to each their own. But overall, really attacking-wise, you're going to be seeing things either from the left wing or the right wing. Juve rarely attack in the middle. Usually the only times they attack in the middle is if there's an odd man rush. So, for example, say that you press really high for a corner, we get the ball, and then we're able to surge forward and rush through. If you guys are playing very high lines, that's really the only time Juve attacks through the middle. But in build-up or even most counterattacks, Juve does not like to go through the middle of the field. Usually everything is through the wing.
So
Sorry, this guy, he never got a call-up, I don't think.
He did during the summer.
Okay. Well, sorry, I cut you off there, Chris.
No. I was just going to ask about DiMaria. Like, what role is he playing now?
He plays as a number 10.
Okay.
So it's not a 3-5-2, it's a 3-5-1-1.
Okay.
It's a little weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, DiMaria typically just floats.
That's what I figured.
Him and Chiesa alternate that floater role.
Okay.
The one thing to note that I would put in our advantage is our bench is pretty decent.
Sure.
It's still kind of young, but like you have Chiesa who can come on, he's not at full minutes yet, but he can come on and be dangerous. Milik, the milkman, always delivers. Moise Kean, if you need the trashiest goal to happen, he'll do it for you. He's the trash man.
We call him the cheese goal.
But you can get like Moratti in for Fagioli, for instance. Bernardaccia, if you want more. Paul Pogba can come on for half an hour. So that's what you would have to, in my opinion, like Juve will probably just play the most negative Italian football for 75 minutes until you're tired, and then just toss on the subs.
That's pretty much what we did against Atalanta, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Over the weekend.
That's what I watched the game a couple weeks. Lecce, maybe that game. Is that where Pogba got the assist, like coming down in the sub? I think to win it. Was that one?
That's the one match I didn't get to watch the whole season because I was working. Was it Pogba?
So.
I can look that up actually.
Yeah,
Paredes got the free kick goal, and then that was Kostic that sent a low-driven ball across the box, and Dusan
it might have been a different game than I saw Pogba. Like he didn't do much, and then he had a nice through ball, I think, for the assist. Maybe I dreamed that, but I think that's what happened.
Maybe you're seeing the future for tomorrow.
No, I hope not. No. That's the thing, guys. I mean, your bench, your starting squad is just. I mean, on paper. You guys look like it's a no-brainer to put money on.
But that's the paper dragon or paper tiger. That's what it is.
that's been our MO, for 6 other Europa leagues, and once we get to the quarterfinals, we've never lost, and we hope to keep that streak. Never lost a series. Let me put it properly there. Once we reach the quarterfinals, so we hope to keep that streak alive, and hopefully tomorrow we can get somewhat of a result to make it close. And when you guys come back to Sevilla, I mean, it's hard not to put money on Sevilla in May at the RSP in the Europa League. So
the thing is with us is so Juve's got one of those things where if they win the first leg, they usually go on through the tie, so they've got a pretty good first leg record. That's why I'm a little bit more of a fan of us playing the first leg at home than away, because again, win it, we're able to lock it down. Because the thing is, and I've said this to the Sporting 160 guys that we talked to, as well as we didn't talk to Freiburg folks because there wasn't any Freiburg or Knots people. But the thing is if Juve is able to come into your house with a lead, we always say get a pillow ready, because it is going to be
absolutely.
It's going to be like I want to throw crap at the TV, because it's not like Diego Simeone like Bush League parking the bus, because Simeone these players will like purposely act like they've snapped their legs in the middle of the match. Like it's atrocious, but like Juve will essentially build slow, play slow, bore the hell out of you in return legs. But again, that's one of those things for Juve is if they go 2-0 up, it's going to be a tough climb, unless if you guys score something this leg. But the one thing I've always said this, if you guys are able to get a goal in Turin, your life in Sevilla gets easier. But if if we go up one goal, there's still, again, it's going to be tough to break down. Juve will probably let you guys break it down until maybe 75 or 80, but you'll have a chance. But if you go down 2 or 3-0, unless everybody for Sevilla's firing on all cylinders, it's going to be tough, because the one thing is this Juve team isn't great offensively and it doesn't look beautiful attacking, but defensively, man, they will frustrate the hell out of you.
Absolutely.
So we want to answer a question from the Twitter.
Ryan's question.
Ryan Amor, was Beto off his line? I'm going to say yes.
Which time?
Yeah, Dave sent me that clip. He was like telling me, he sends me the thing. I'm like, what's the question? He's like, there's some controversy of the final. I was like watching. I'm like, yeah, the dude steps off his line before the ball's kicked like 5 times.
Yeah, every goal, like every single kick, he was off his line. I didn't see it personally. I was watching the game, but I thought he was on the line. But this was prior to pre-VAR, so they couldn't go back and check it. And
well, it's funny is the 2 linesmen are looking straight at the post. That's why they can't see it, because they're not looking at it from an angle. I always thought that was interesting, because like back then pre-VAR, where you would have the 2 linesmen stand at the edge for penalties like that, and I always would sit there and be like, but the post is even with the line. How can they see if the guy's on the line or not? How does that work? Especially from how far they're standing.
I was talking to a Benfica fan the other day, and he's still salty over this final, man. He is so salty about Beto coming off his line.
And so for reference, we're looking at the 2014 Europa League final, played at the Allianz Stadium, Sevilla versus Benfica. And so penalty shootout. It was a 4-2 penalty shootout.
There's the scarf there from the
yes,
the
I noticed
there.
that. That's cool. Were you there, or
no? I bought that on. I bought that for one for me and then one for a Benfica friend of mine. So
nice.
Yeah,
we have a Benfica fan as well.
Nice.
I mean, you probably, I don't know. A lot of people know him.
What a tragic Europa League story, or not Europa League, just Europe in general.
Europe.
Always there, but never winning it.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Always,
Kind of sounds like us a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, because the funny thing is, compared to all the Italian teams, I believe allegedly Juventus has gone to the most finals, but we've just lost the most. I think we've gone to 9 or 10 Champions League finals and have only won 2.
That's Terrible
What's it?
record that. But
is.
it's with Benfica, for example. I think it's
Since it's Scuzio.
not sure what the player's name was. I think it's a curse.
Yeah, the curse of
Yeah,
I believe it's Escuzio or Escuzio. He was the
Eusebio,
yeah,
Eusebio,
he was essentially
yeah.
the 60s Ronaldo.
Yeah. I think that's because they talk about a curse and they can't win. Before that player left, he said he will never win a European title or something like that. And
Do you know this man?
they did.
Do I know that man?
He is our good friend.
This is Rabona TV.
So he's our
I-
Benfica fan.
So if you haven't checked out the YouTube studio, this is Rabona TV. He's our resident Benfica fan. He's also a Canadian, so hate him for that. Don't hate him for being Benfica fan.
Blame Canada.
Yeah, 'cause that was the last time they won a European title was in the 60s before Milan and Inter both won theirs at that time. And then something happened with him, Benfica, and he's like, I never won a European title ever again.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he never did.
Amazing. So, guys, what do you think the predictions? What do you think?
I knew this was coming up next.
know.
This is always the hardest part of the
I'm gonna
segment.
be biased. I'm gonna go on a limb and say we win 1-0. Juventus wins 1-0.
Yeah, it's
1-0.
definitely a 1-0 game, no doubt. And this is the kind of game DiMaria needs to put a filthy one in the corner.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to not agree with you because I don't know that we're talented enough to score. But I mean, we've snuck them in before. I think we scored in the 9th minute once there, like early in one of the matches in the Champions League. So
Set plays.
Let's say 1-1.
You never know. Juve could do a last-minute transfer for Harry Maguire, and then you guys will get 4 on us. But
or De Gea, you
Or
guys
De
could
Gea.
just have De Gea too. We'll be fine with that.
oh my god, I can't believe I saw that drop he did on the weekend. I was just absolutely astonished.
That was terrible.
Man, you never ceases to amaze.
I know.
That Pereira goal that he scored in the 9th was at home too. That was when we lost 1-3 in 2016, second leg.
All right, you can't avoid it though. You have to put on the record the prediction.
Nah. I'm gonna go 2-1.
Okay.
2-1.
2-1 Juve.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go 1-1. Let's
1-1. Okay.
1-1, yeah.
Okay. It's gonna be a tight game. I think it's gonna be
Yeah,
very tight
I think it's
regardless.
gonna be
Anyway,
low scoring. It has to be.
Or you guys come out and score 6 on us, like
we haven't done that all season.
I highly doubt that. I appreciate the vote and confidence, but I highly doubt that. That's going to be a very ambitious task.
Our highest scoring game, well, it was 5-3 Lazio. Or we beat Lazio.
No. We beat
Wasn't
Lazio 3-0. I know
Was it
the
3-0?
highest scoring game was
5.
4-2 with Sampdoria, I think. Sampdoria or Torino.
I think our highest scoring was 3.
Yeah.
We've done it a couple times. I don't think we've scored more than 3.
Yeah. No.
We've been scored on.
Even with Sampoli. So
We did
Yeah.
4-2 to Torino
4-2
as
to
well
Sampdoria.
as Sampdoria. So
Nice.
I mean that's the best we're gonna give you
Yeah.
is 4 goals.
4. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
4-0 against Empoli. There's our best match. Empoli.
We max out at 3 unless it's a Segunda team or something. So
Okay. So it's gonna be a 1-goal game anyways. That's what
Yeah.
we're looking at, guys.
probably.
Hopefully we entertained you tonight because the
Definitely.
match. Ooh, I think she's gonna be a sleepy one.
Gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having us, guys.
This was amazing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We love doing this. We love collaborating. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this as well. And just bringing Kosovo in as well. We haven't had Kosovo represented, I don't think at all. So
No, we do. Komikos, one of our viewers.
oh,
is
that's
from
right.
Kosovo.
Yes. Okay, so we do
Nice.
have, and I mean we have a bit of Balkan representation anyway. So
Yeah.
thanks for adding into it. Thanks for trashing Mexico a little bit, or at least just the Mexican from Wisconsin.
He told me to do it.
No, it's all in fun. Obviously, we love it. So thank you guys so much.
Definitely.
Hopefully,
Thank you.
we
Thank
do
you,
this again.
Dave.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Otherwise, we always allow, if you wish, to do the outro. We allow the guests to do the outro. No, I don't know if you
Chris-
guys are ready for this, but we put on some cheesy music. And I mean, I'll just start playing the music, and we can see where this goes.
Yeah.
The outro. Shendam, you want to do it? You're the man.
Chris, you are the professional podcaster.
Yeah, right. Far from professional, my friend. All right. Guys, thanks for tuning in to the Turin Giants podcast. I'm Chris Leo with the Monchi's Men podcast. Follow us on Twitter, the Monchi's Men podcast, or come find us at forums.monchismen.com. And guys, thanks for having us. Best of luck in the game tomorrow. Let's stay healthy and see what happens.
Thank you so much, guys. Please, everyone, do support them. Send them. Parting words.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's Dave. Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
Bye.
All right, guys. Till next time, we love you all. Forza Juve, and we'd like Sevilla. But we're not going to root for you tomorrow. All right. Love you guys.
Vamos, mi Sevilla.